It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Welcome to Inside the Patch, ESPN Fresno. We want to say thank you to Fresno Rack and Shelving. Nice rack. Also, if you like barbecue, the Sticky Icky of Sanger has a deal right now. You can get $50 worth of barbecue for $25. That's a big deal right there. They got the pig candy, they got the ribs, they got the tri-tip. And all you got to do is go to gnarlycountry.com, go to Gnarly Deals. And also, they have a Super Bowl platter that, no, I'm sorry, they don't have that. They have the big game platter because it would be illegal for them to have that other kind of platter. They have a big game platter where you can win a party to feed 20 people. Or like 10 of me, but 20 normal people you can do. All you gotta do is go to 628 O Street in Sanger, California, home of Tom Flores, and walk in there and sign up. It's free to sign up, and you can sign up every day, once a day, up until that big game on February 9th. And also, if you've got a child that plays basketball, how about the Perfect Rotation device? Look at that. It's a perfectrotation.com. What is it, Mitch Adams? It is a training device.
A weighted training ball to help teach or improve your shot. The weight of the basketball forces your elbow in. You've got to come straight up, release it, getting the fingertips into the release of the basketball into that process.
Yeah.
And you strengthen them over time. So not only are you grooving proper form through the repeated use of the ball, but you're also getting stronger, which means now you can shoot from long range and be like Steph.
Forget AI. Turn your son into AI, Allen Iverson, with the perfect training device, perfectrotation.com. And there is a code. If they go to perfectrotation.com and they put in the code Raiders, right? What's
Raiders, that? 30% off.
30% off.
30 for Curry.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, did we just go out and brag the fact that we recorded our show before the coaching decision was made last week. And then all of a sudden, we didn't know what to say because we thought an announcement was coming, and we just put it in the universe. I believe we said, it's happening.
Do you know what I did after our call?
What was that?
I went outside and did a rain dance.
I think that's it. I mean, honestly, we didn't know, and we both been him and hawing around it, and we just said, you know what? That's what we want. We're putting it in the universe.
Put it in the universe. It rained for more days than I wanted to because it interfered with my golf this weekend. But we got what we wanted.
Right. I mean,
Antonio Pierce. Wow.
You just go online and you see everybody, and now all the talking heads. This is what they're saying. Well, I once had a substitute teacher because the other teacher was sick, and we liked this substitute teacher, but when they came back with a full-time job, they weren't the same. I go, well, that's not anything to do with Antonio Pierce. Have you seen the man? Have you seen his credentials? And look at our defense is ranked number 1 for the time that he took over.
Yeah, apples and oranges. I mean, a substitute teacher.
Right.
Now, tell you what, you can bring in the substitute teacher, and then you bring in some professors to help coach that teacher through how to handle those kids. Then it's a different story. So you can't compare the two. I mean, you've got Marvin Lewis. You've got Herman Edwards. You've got Tom Coughlin coming to help him. We've talked about this. And Marvin Lewis looks like he's going to be a permanent fixture there. So there's always going to be someone to help him and guide him through the areas of head coaching that he doesn't know. And that is so freaking smart. Oh, my God.
I love that. Like, you can bring in anybody. Like, you have your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, but you can make stuff up as, like, ambassador of offensive coordination or whatever. I mean, you can make a title up. It doesn't matter. Bring your people in. Get the people in there. And everything I'm seeing, even some of the players that are probably on the bubble, they're all saying, this is what we wanted. This is what we want to be part of.
And I knew there would be the naysayers, and I haven't read anything, and I haven't listened to it that talk about all interim coaches are liked. Yeah, not true, but a lot are.
Right.
But this is different, and it felt different, and obviously we messed up with our last interim coach, who we saw on the sidelines with Green Bay as their special teams coach, Bisaccia.
Yeah.
We probably should have hired him because he got the team. He had them fired up. But, Mark went for the splash, the name out of New England, and it didn't work.
Right.
Now, if he had gone against this, again, we talked about this, a lot of people wouldn't have been happy. Probably in the organization, certainly outside of the organization. And he made the right call.
Right.
It's going to be exciting. It's really going to be exciting.
I thought it was more of a no-brainer, but then last week when it wasn't happening, and I don't know the reason behind it, because they were saying, oh, they want to hire a GM first. Well, they finally did that, but that hadn't done that yet. And then they went ahead and hired the coach, right? And then it just seemed like there was like a last-minute push for someone else. And I was getting nervous because I just know that it would have ripped the house down. Right now, we go into the season with some momentum and at least a feeling of this locker room is his,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's important. I mean, you had a lot of people going along with our former coach. He doesn't even need to be mentioned by name.
Right.
They went along with what he was feeding them, but they didn't look happy about it because it just didn't seem to work. And we may have touched upon it eerily similar to when Shanahan came to the Raiders back in Los Angeles,
right,
and came in and made wholesale changes. No more sitting on your helmets on the sideline. That was a staple of the Raiders of the 70s and early 80s, guys sitting on their helmets. You don't see much of it now because I think they have more bench space for the guys to sit down. But the NFL wasn't what it was then as it is now. And so guys would just take a football and put it between their butt and the helmet and sit on their helmet on the sideline or directly on their helmet and watch the game. And I don't want any of that. And it's like that rubbed a lot of the veteran players the wrong way. And this guy, the former head coach, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
And I mean, that's the problem. You can't come in and go, we're doing this now, and think everybody's just going to go along peacefully,
Yeah, AP will make some mistakes. He'll make some wholesale changes, and guys might not be happy with it. But I think they respect him, and I don't think the other guy had any respect. And there's a big difference between following someone you don't respect and following someone that you do respect.
Yeah, and it's like I understand you want to come in as a new coach and establish, I don't know, like a dog marking their territory, changing a thing. This is my way. They're gone now. But some of that, then I think Antonio Pierce is weaved right into it, is their tradition. That's the Raider tradition. Things like the camaraderie. Gruden brought a little of that, but the cigar smoking victory, ding dong, the witch is dead, and the change in the team. It's like, that term when they say a player's coach, it doesn't mean like, oh, you're not coaching. It means, hey, you really enjoy your players, and you can get on their level, but you can motivate them. You're almost like they'll play for you. It's like going to battle, man. They'll fight for you.
I not once, but I ran a camp at USC. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that here. Maybe.
Huh.
And Pete Carroll was the
head
coach then. And it was a fantasy football camp for adults back in the mid 2000s.
Oh,
and
wow.
Rod Sherman, former Raider, brought me in, and he liked
a different kind of fantasy football, not like the kind where you pick teams.
No.
It's adults getting to go out there and train like they're playing football,
running through the plays and 2.5 days USC campus. Then it culminated into games played in the LA Coliseum, and we crowned a champion. And Pete Carroll, in his first in Heritage Hall, these guys came in and he sent in his assistant coaches, and he called them the Bushwhackers. And they came in and they fired this crowd up. And we're talking about average age 50.
Right.
There were a few younger guys, but most of them were middle-aged, and some of them shouldn't have even been on the field. The oxygen, the wheelchairs. They were old, but they paid to be there. And
so it was kind of like maybe you thought you had a chance, and you get a chance to at least get on the field and feel what it's like,
Well, yes, and more for these Rabbit fans that just wanted to rub elbows with Pete.
Right.
And so Pete walks in, and I mean, he had this room whipped into a frenzy. And I'm standing there like, what is going on?
And
They took the shirts off, and the energy, the heat in the room. I mean, we're in an auditorium. It got warm. And now he said, get out on the field. And oh my God, these guys.
They were just biting in.
Had he said, run through that wall right there, they would have done it. And that same sort of energy that Pete got these guys to do,
right,
or whipped them up into like in the first 15 minutes, is what Antonio Pierce is bringing to these professionals. And when you have a guy that gets you fired up and you want to play for him, we saw what happened defensively. And if we can get this offense together, when we get this offense together this upcoming season, the Raiders are going to be a formidable opponent. And I'm going to call it here today. We make the playoffs. We make the playoffs.
I like it. Well, and you know what was kind of strange? Here comes Antonio Pierce. Same players. Maybe one or two changes, right? And all of a sudden our defense goes from not lame to number one in some of the categories.
Lame. Probably 29th or 30th.
To number one. To number one in scoring points. Number one. It was a different team. Same people. Different team.
And our second highest paid player didn't play. That was Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
Take that contract, bring in 2 or 3 younger guys to fill those roles.
Right.
And we'll have something.
Did you know that there were no penalties for the last couple games? When has a Raider team ever had 0 penalties?
That was surprising.
I don't remember. I never remember that. I just figured yellow's like one of our colors because they're always throwing it at us.
All my life we've led the league in penalties.
Right.
And I don't know, it was the third to last game, second to last game, and I hear the announcer say the Raiders are leading the league in fewest penalties, and I'm like, what? It became a staple of Raider football.
Right.
Right or wrong, good or bad, it is what it is. And we just accepted it. And when we were good, it didn't matter. When we were bad, oh God, did it hurt us?
Oh yeah, and just the will to win and the will to not. I don't know. I'm excited, and I'm hoping that they come out the beginning of this season with that same love. But that being said, our offense, we don't have a coordinator yet, and there's like 3 or 4 guys that are up for it. That's going to change things drastically because they're going to bring in, probably their coaches, most offensive coordinators. I'm sure a couple of ours will stay,
Oh, yeah, we let a lot of people go.
Yeah.
Raiders clean house on the coaching side, and a lot of coaches. There'll be a lot of new faces coaching this year. But I would think, though, through Marvin Lewis, AP, our new GM, Tom Telesco.
Yeah.
They're going to put their heads together, and there'll be no rash decisions, just because they have to get it right.
Well, and I think that's where you just said his name, Tom Telesco. Tell me what you know about him. Like you were telling me he's 29 years in the league.
29 years in the NFL. The last 11 with the Chargers, where,
they
Justin Herbert, a good friend of mine, Jason Verrett, was drafted by them in the first round. Joey Bosa, the running back.
Well, he did the Khalil Mack deal too. He made that happen.
Yeah, this guy. Chargers have had some nice players there.
Right.
So you just figure we haven't really had a GM that, outside of Bruce Allen back when, and he didn't even have the title of GM. Reggie McKenzie. Who's the television guy that came over with Gruden?
Mike Mayhow.
Mike Mayhow, yeah.
I really wanted him. I liked him. I still like his demeanor and the way he was. He was really just for Gruden. It was Gruden was making all the calls, but
yeah. We have a real GM now, somebody that's been there in the trenches. Not that Reggie didn't do it, because he was in the football operations side up in Green Bay for a number of years. But he's held that role for the last 11 years with the Chargers, and prior to that, 15 in football operations with the Colts.
Right.
Edgerrin James was picked up.
Reggie Wayne, right?
Reggie Wayne, the quarterback.
Andrew Luck.
Thank you, Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
So Dwight Freeney, we'll see. This guy's had some winners. I mean, because you look back at what the Raiders picked up over the last 10 years, and it's
all our good picks are like fourth round. We got a Max Crosby in the fourth round. We never get it right. I mean, maybe Josh.
I'm talking
Jacobs.
About these wasted first round picks.
I know. How many have we? Like we made up for it in our fourth round, but it's like and I really think the plan is to get one of those mobile quarterbacks. And
you would hope, but
it depends on who's our coordinator. To the offensive coordinator.
Maybe there's one in the fourth round. Yeah. Because you need an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
we need a stud. You can't miss this year. You can't miss. We've had Colton Miller is the only first round draft pick over the last 10 years.
I'd like to get a veteran offensive lineman and a rookie offensive lineman high up. That I would like to have one more veteran in there that's got some years left.
Yeah, years, not a couple. Yeah,
years.
Five or six. Yeah, somebody about 28 years old.
Yeah.
Got
and
about
then
4 or 5 years under the belt. Yeah,
and I want Josh Jacobs and Devontae, but I don't know if that's possible. I hope so.
Devontae obviously will be back. The running back position has taken a hit over the last few years, and not too many running backs have long-term contracts. It's running back by committee. I don't know if this is collusion by the owners to kind of phase out paying running backs large contracts or inking them to large contracts.
Well, the quarterbacks just took that extra money anyway, so they're huge now.
Yeah. Well, we'll be out from under the James Richard Garoppolo's contract. Haven't said that in about 12 months or so.
And O'Connell, I think he's a great guy. I think he's got, but I don't think he's got what it takes. What we're going to need, I just don't see. He might be on the team. I don't know.
Could be.
But I don't know.
Well, we had to see what he can do. As you mentioned in the the Chief game, he didn't complete a pass after the first quarter, and we still won. So go figure.
Yeah, and you got to be able to be mobile, and that's probably not in this thing. And it depends. Like, I don't. Even if we get a coach, the offensive coordinator that wants to spread it out, Antonio Pierce wants to run it up the middle. So just because they're famous for a spread out offense doesn't mean that's all they know how to coach. It doesn't mean that's all we're going to be. I think establishing the run. Isn't it nice to be able to finish games? Like, the years before we left 48 seconds on the clock and they scored twice and they win the game. It's like, I don't have that fear. I'm like, give it to our defense will help us, so you can take a little more risk. And,
being able to take chances because, your defense is going to hold up their end of the bargain. The last decade, maybe, except for 2017, it really hasn't been the case. And these last few years in Las Vegas, we've been in games, but then the defense can't hold up their end of the bargain. And it's always a late touchdown is scored or a late interception or something is thrown or fumbled by the offense. So I don't really see that happening next year. I think we're going to be a very disciplined ball club, as we've shown that we could do, being the least penalized team in the league.
Right.
And we're gonna make something happen. we're going to have a quarterback, somebody that's going to be able to deliver that ball to the receivers. I mean, look at the skill position. I don't know if Renfro will be around, but he's a good have in the slot.
Yeah.
But between Jacoby Myers and Adams, and then you have Michael Mayer at tight end.
Yeah.
And whomever runs the ball. And we had, White was back there.
We got White. We have Jacobs at this point.
But it was just a 1-year contract.
Right.
Based on the franchise tag on him. So
could you imagine if Jacobs decides to take a team friendly deal, to maybe, I don't know if he will or not, but it might be, it'd be nice to have Zamir White and Jacobs.
It really would be nice to have Jacobs back under contract before the season starts.
Yeah.
And maybe he does take a friendly deal, multi-year, so at least he has some. And give him a big signing bonus or something. Give him some money. Come on.
Right.
Man.
And I know that's not really Coach's deal, but Coach does have say and try to find a way to make this work. Especially you got a new GM now who wants to not come in and he wants to do something that everybody goes, good job, new guy,
Oh, man, you've been somewhere 11 years with the Chargers between San Diego and Los Angeles. Sometimes you can rest on your laurels because you've brought in some good players. You can, so I missed on this one. Can't miss this year, buddy.
Right.
Cannot miss. You have to.
This is the thing, and so I don't know. It's funny when I see the name Eric Bimini. I always think he's an Eric the Enemy, and it's but enemy. But it sounds like, hey, he's the enemy. And I was like, yeah, I don't want him. He's the enemy. But he is a great offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? I would take. There's 4 of them out there that I would be okay with.
Eric Bieniemy. See, his name, and I don't know why he's never much in the conversation when it comes to head coach. He's been on that sideline a long time.
I think he will be a head coach in the next few years. It'd be nice for him to. I mean, I don't know if we're even going to get him. There's been like 3 or 4 names up, and they're all qualified, and they all have something
Kingsbury, good. But Eric Bieniemy over Cliff Kingsbury, every day of the week. Yeah. Every day of the week. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I don't know, and I'm done guessing. I don't want to guess anymore.
Yeah, well, that one's going to be a tough one. The relationship between the offensive coordinator and the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and perhaps the GM. Everybody's going to have to like him. They're going to have to want this guy to come in and because we need a dynamic offense.
Right.
It's been a long time, and it's been it was the Gannon days. That remember a game against Denver, he completed like 30. It was like Monday night, like 30 passes, 28, 30 passes in a row. No incompletions.
Is that the one where Rod Woodson ran it back?
Oh no, that's too much. That's too much detail. I don't know.
When Rod Woodson ran that ball back, it was the year we went to the Super Bowl and lost. But that was the moment that changed. I remember their quarterback was greasy and he got hurt. And they said he tripped over his dog. That's the excuse they gave. And I said he tripped over his dog named Alcohol. Is what I think. But for whatever reason, I was with a car dealer from Fresno, and we went to the game. It was Monday Night Football, 700 Monday Night Football game, and John Elway sells cars. So this guy I'm in John Elway's box, and I'm looking at it. And Elway had played first year. He's done right, and they threw out interception to Woodson, and all of a sudden, and I'm watching him. I'm 10 feet from him in his box, just watching him, not talking to him, but just watching him. And he was smiling because the whole crowd starts going, Elway, like bring it back. And
so this was up in Denver, okay?
In Denver, they were crazy, and Elway wasn't even in like part of the team administration stuff at that time, but I just remember. It was pretty crazy, and the Bronco fans were really thinking they were going to kill us. And afterwards, they wanted to fight everybody. The orange people were ready to kill anybody. I'm like,
The Orange Crush.
I better put my jacket on. I just want to go into this place. There's no need to make
turn it inside out, whatever.
yeah. So, and I remember Tom Flores was there at the game, and all a lot of those guys travel with the team.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know,
wow.
man. I am pleasantly excited and happy about this year. So
yeah, I talked to a couple former players this week, and they're happy with Antonio Pierce, the pick. They're like, it made sense.
Right.
And when you've got some guys that take pride in the team, because when they played, they were very successful, and they think that could be coming back, pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, I know Mark Davis was happy with everything Antonio Pierce did, but his hands were kind of tied. If he would not have taken Antonio Pierce, I don't know. I think it would have been like when the Raiders went to LA. I think we would have lost some fans. I think we would have lost some people.
Oh, yeah, a few. But again, I think Harbaugh would have been a pick that many of us could have lived with.
I'm gonna say no now just because it's not happening. But you're right. You're right.
I think I could have lived with it. I really wanted to see it, but Antonio probably wouldn't have stayed. And so then we'd see him elsewhere, and then then he gets a team at some point.
Yes. So we've always said this, even when we weren't down with the coach decisions we had. We are Raider fans, and we don't get to make decisions. We get to root for the team, and we get to talk about it, and we get to hope, and we want what we want, but at the end of the day, we don't get to choose.
Hey, that first game in Las Vegas is going to be bananas.
Oh.
Because the way they cheered AP on the way out from the last game, and he stopped and he took that in. Yeah, that.
Did you see him even walking into the stadium? He was out there stopping and shaking hands, and I saw like Gorilla and all those other mascot guys that we have, and he's walking right there with him, and I'm like going, look at him. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know what it's like? You used to do that show before the game and the parking lot, and you see those people coming in, and one of my favorite, it was, people pre-gaming in Oakland Coliseum, and this guy's sitting down. He is clearly in a chair, probably drunk, just passed out drunk. It's like 11 o'clock. Game's at 1, right? And all of a sudden, a football, like a Nerf football, hits him right in the head. And boom, he pops up and goes, Raiders! And I just laughed. I go, look at that. That's the Raider Nation, baby, right there.
Oh, man.
He wasn't mad. It was like, oh, yeah, Raiders! I was like,
he didn't know. He's like,
he didn't know who was that. It was just beautiful. And it's like, there's so much stuff I'm happy about. And, I got a lot of people commenting to me about you, saying how you fired them up. We were talking about how you got your job with walking into the building, having your own office and all this stuff. And just, that's part of it.
I used an office.
Okay, hold on. It doesn't matter. The fact that you could walk in, show your pass, and you could go in, you were part of the Raiders organization. And
man.
And the fact that here you are, this kid that used to sell peanuts and go to the games and just it really is a great story. I just loved it, man. I just loved it.
Hey, well, thanks. It fired me up too, because sometimes you forget the things that you've gone through in life until you talk about it, and you're like, "Wow, I did that," and so that was fun.
And sometimes I stop and go, "Man, look what we get to do! Like just this, like we get to talk about the Raiders and just bring up memories and stuff." And it's like I'm so thankful for the opportunities, and I don't like take it lightly. I'm like, man, and just like the Raiders.
I didn't realize how many Raider jackets I had. I found this one in the closet, so I haven't worn this one yet, and it's huge. But it's a winter coat, and
you might have some ones from the 70s that you probably can't put on anymore.
Oh man, this was actually the team. Actually, these were the previous year's jackets. Because it's a Reebok, and the team, the NFL was going with Nike,
Oh,
And
so
so
they had to.
they had to get rid of all these, and so they sold them for like $10 a piece. They had to get something. And I'm like, I'll take 10 of those.
Dude, I saw the coolest documentary, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was about the yellow line in football, and it's something we just expect now. But the history behind it, how it wasn't even a thing. It started with Fox coming in when they put on the hockey. They put a little thing on it, the light, so you could see it. And hockey fans were mad, and still places you bring it up, they just were mad about it. But that's what started this whole technology thing. Well, what if we had this, or what if we had that? And then they invented all these things from like the multi-camera shots and things that we know now that we didn't think about.
Have you ever gone back and found an old VHS tape from the 80s?
Late
popped
70s.
it in, and you're watching the game, and you're like waiting for a replay or the score or a clock.
And it was just...
things that we take for granted now, they weren't privy. I mean, the score would pop up periodically, but man, we just watched and listened. And now there's so much on the screen.
I know
that you could turn the sound down and still know what's happening.
Well, it's funny that the actual clock on the screen, there were a couple guys in television that said, "No, I don't want that up there because I'll see it's a blowout, then they won't watch the game." That was the thinking. How dumb is that? But it's a different time, and remember there was like on the sideline there was a golf cart with a camera on it. Guys, up. That would be the main shot all the time, and then maybe 3 cameras. That's it. Now there's probably 2 cameras on every player. Well,
yeah, and then they put the wires for special games and brought the camera down, and then the XFL or the USFL, now they've merged, but they actually fly drones on the field.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing. I don't know if you saw any footage from their games. I don't know if the NFL will adopt that, but this drone is sitting right behind the quarterback.
Why wouldn't you?
And they're getting this quarterback view of the game.
Great.
It's insane.
Well, remember Ray Guy kicked the ball to I think it was the Astrodome.
No. It was New Orleans.
New Orleans, yes. Okay.
Superdome.
Yeah, he hit the roof of the something.
The scoreboard.
The scoreboard.
And during practice, he told somebody in warm-ups, "I'm going to hit that thing tonight."
Just to see what happens.
And they're like, "Sure." He's like, "No, I can hit it. I'm going to hit it during the game." And
he did.
They actually had to raise the scoreboard a little higher because that thing is dangling on cables, but he hit it.
Well, Ray Guy, like Madden used to talk about him, said he was the best athlete on the team. He said he was our 3rd string quarterback. He never really got to put it. He knew the plays, and he was. But just
I saw him throw a few times, fake punts. But if you remember Ray Guy when he first started, he had 1 bar.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Cliff Branch style cage.
Looks like the helmets the kids wear.
And then he went to a full latter part of his career, because Ray Guy would go down and tackle.
Yeah.
Most teams, when your kicker kicks off or punts, now you got 10 guys covering and he's hanging back. Ray had his own lane. He was going down laying hat, man.
And you know what? I got to interview him one time, and I did not know he had such a Alabama accent. Like he was just like, "Hey, how y'all doing, Ray Guy?" I was like, "Whoa, hee-haw, here we go." But he was just a real down to earth guy. Got in the Hall of Fame, thank goodness. And
yeah. And the punter award in college is named after him.
Yep.
Just like the Blitnikoff Trophy. See, people don't even know what those names are that win those awards.
Right.
And it's because, well, I mean, it's what they did in college, but
so what?
They were Raiders. Those were Raiders.
Okay, the Ray Guy Award, the Blitnikoff, Madden football. Come on, there's a
Raider
lot
stuff, man.
There's a lot of our history is there. Well,
yes,
man, Mitch, I am so excited about this season, and I think next week we'll have offensive coordinator, and we'll be able to celebrate that. But
yes.
And we're not going to take full credit, but we did put it in the universe last week.
Oh, no,
right?
we're taking credit.
Okay, we're taking full credit. All right.
We put it in the universe.
We did that. That was us. And so,
and every night for the last few weeks, I was like, please, Antonio Beers, please.
Oh, I was ready to call you and say, we might want to. What if he didn't get the job and we said it? I was like, but I don't have to worry about that because it happened. I do worry sometimes though when I'm shooting a jump shot. I'm thinking, what if I don't get enough rotation? And I think, what should I do about that?
Ooh, and you heard it talk to the.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
it's not light. There's some weight to that thing, right?
Use me. Well, this one is this is 4 pounds.
Nice.
And then the smaller one for kids is 2.5 pounds. Yeah.
And it's the perfect rotation. It's a basketball training device. And we've got Mitch Adams. I gotta call him the professor of rotation. The professor of professional perfect rotation.
I donated some of these to Gary Payton's Lincoln University team here in Oakland.
Oh, nice.
The Oaklanders. And I went to his game Friday, and afterwards I went to say, hey. He said, hey, my son is here. Go tell him about your ball. And so young Gary's going to, well, he said, let's fingers crossed.
Right.
But he looked very genuine, and I believe him. He says, man, I use that ball every practice. I'm like, what?
Really?
I'm like, how'd you get it? He says, they're just there. And I think it's because I
giving them to coach and stuff.
I've given them to people like take this to the team and guys that were close to the team. Anyway, he said he'd make a video, and so that he'll send me.
Well, that'd be good. That'd be good to see.
I said, do you ever see Steph training with it? He says, I haven't. He said, but if you want a video, let me see what I can do. So, no promises there, but
wow,
yeah,
wow, that'd be big.
So the ball has made it into an NBA training facility.
There it is. It's there. All right, Mitch Adams, thanks again, man. We'll see you next week on Inside the Patch. Go Raiders!
Go Raiders!
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.